The Victorian Literature Journey tag. This was created by Roz and Tilly. I'll link in the show notes below to their channels. And it was influenced by the Shakespeare Journey tag. I did the Shakespeare Journey tag. I can link to my video here. The Shakespeare Journey tag was created by Jason, Kelly and Nicole for Shakestember last month. So now this is the Victorian Literature Journey tag. My name is Jim. This is my channel, books, reading and stuff. Prompt number 1. What was your first experience reading Victorian literature and how was it? First experience was my mother reading The Water Babies by Charles Kingsley to me, which was published in 1863. She also read the Just So stories of Rudyard Kipling. Later I read The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling and War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. And then in school we had to study Silas Marner by George Eliot, which was fine, and A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which put me off Dickens for a very long time. Has the reading of a Victorian book ever brought you to tears? If so, tell us more. I'm not a teary reader. Tessa d'Aubervilles was very sad, as was The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. And I've also read Jane Eyre, which has a scene where Helen Burns dies quite early on, which a lot of others are citing as what brought them to tears, but nothing in my Victorian reading has brought me to tears. Are there any people who played a significant role in your Victorian literature journey? So here I'd cite another booktuber, Katie Lumsden, of Books and Things, and before I was on BookTube I followed her readathon of The Odd Women by George Gissing, and I've also looked at many of her videos about Charles Dickens because I have this project to read through all of Charles Dickens' novels. So she's been a big influence on interesting me in Victorian literature. Do you have a favourite film or TV adaptation of a Victorian book? When I was a child, my parents used to watch a lot of TV adaptations, and I remember 2 of these on the BBC. There was David Copperfield back in 1974 with Arthur Lowe playing Micawber, which was a good production, and David Copperfield is my favourite Dickens novel to date. And there was also in 1978 a production of Mayor of Casterbridge, which is one of my favourite Hardy novels. It's either that one or Return of the Native. Which character in Victorian literature most resembles you or you identify with most? I don't think any of them I particularly resemble. I did take the name of Diggory Venn for the second of my Facebook channels. Diggory Venn is the Reddleman in Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy, but I'm not a Reddleman. Do you have a favourite moment, scene or line from Victorian literature? Tell us about it or read it to us. I might have hated A Tale of Two Cities at school, but I do like the opening line. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. Does any Victorian literature intimidate you? If so, what and why? 2 books spring to mind here. Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. I've avoided it because I've heard it so sad and depressing. And Daniel Deronda by George Eliot, which sounds very complex. What is your top recommended read for other readers of Victorian literature? If you haven't read David Copperfield, I recommend you read that. It's my favourite Dickens. It's autobiographical in a sense. It's not completely autobiographical, but it's his most autobiographical book. And it's got some wonderful characters like Micawber, who's always optimistic even though everything goes wrong for him. There's Uriah Heep, who's ever so humble, but he's not really. He's quite a villain. there's Peggotty. There's some wonderful characters in David Copperfield. Another book I'd recommend, maybe Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This isn't Victorian literature, but it's set in Victorian times. It's like a female version of Oliver Twist, and to my mind it's a lot better than Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is my least favourite Dickens novel because the character of Oliver Twist doesn't seem like a real boy. He seems like an adult with thoughts being channeled through a boy, and there's also the racism, anti-Semitism of how Fagin is portrayed, often called just the Jew in the books. This was very early in Dickens' career. Our mutual friend Mr. Ria, who's also Jewish, was a lot more of a sympathetic character. Finally, tag some people. I don't know who's done this. I've seen a few videos of the Victorian Journey tag. I'll tag Elizabeth at Bouquin and Books. I don't know if she's done it. And I'll tag Angelia at Read and Reread. And if you haven't done this tag, you'd like to do it, please feel free. I'll put prompts in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this video, you can like below. This will help me with the YouTube algorithm, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.